I want to say welcome. We are being joined by Mr. Mike Meze, Public Affairs Analyst. You're welcome,
Thank
Mr.
you
Mike
very much.
Meze.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be with you all.
The crew is still here. We want to begin with our ABS website. What do we have there? First, we have INEC ad hoc staff protest in Oka over non-payment of allowances. That's the first one there. And the second one that says stakeholders call for improved capacity of media organizations. While the third one says fire ignited by 2-year-old child destroys property worth millions of naira in Onitsha. Meze, what do you say on these three?
The first one, INEC ad hoc staff, it's quite interesting. Indeed, sometimes I wonder how INEC is able to avoid scandals, knowing what goes on during elections, the number of personnel that they hire, both permanent and ad hoc. First, I commend the INEC management for keeping matters this low. Outside the media, we've had all kinds of stories how INEC officials make away with funds allocated for disbursement to ad hoc staff. Somehow they've been able to manage that side of their reputation very well, that it's not something that recurs all the time. So I'm impressed that INEC has been able to manage their reputation so well. But we do know that this thing happens every time there are elections. All right? Lots of ad hoc staff go away without being paid. Some that get paid sometimes as low as half what they are supposed to get.
And what do you attribute that to?
Before now, one could attribute that to unpreparedness of INEC, i.e. elections are held without proper planning. There isn't a long execution time left once elections are announced, and therefore you find out that you have all kinds of people in positions that they shouldn't be. So due care is not taken in the selection of those who are going to manage the ad hoc staff, and then due care is not taken in the selection of the ad hoc staff. But I believe that moving forward, with us having this long election timetable, for instance now, if the National Assembly does not do what it intends to do, i.e. legislate on election timetable, which is not supposed to do, if INEC goes ahead to work their plan, they've planned their plan, what is now left is for them to work their plan.
Okay, yes. INEC should work their plan so that there will not be a repeat of this kind of protest anymore.
Yes.
Okay. So the other one, you don't have anything to say to that? The stakeholders improve capacity of media organizations.
I didn't quite get that.
Okay.
Yes.
It said stakeholders call for improved capacity of media organizations.
Oh, of course, that's a challenge that has been with Nigeria for a very long time. But it's not only in the media, it's across almost every industry and profession. First of all, we are not training people for the jobs they are expected to do when they leave school.
Okay.
All right? It's not just a media thing.
Okay.
But it's easy for you to identify the media because we are in the eyes of the public. But it's a challenge that is across all sectors of the economy.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now the last one there, fire destroys millions of properties in Onitsha when a 2-year-old ignited something fire.
First of all, I remember when we were looking at these headlines, she chuckled and said, I don't think chuckle is the right word. Yes. She was taught and said, Onitsha again. We've had too many fires in Onitsha. But my problem with that, my concern about this is how can a 2-year-old ignite a fire? that's going to be one of the questions that people are going to be asking. How can a 2-year-old, yes, I know that fire can be ignited in many ways. Well, this is surprising to me.
Okay, surprising indeed,
Yes.
but it
happened.
It really happened.
It is.
You
It just
had the first paper.
yes, and it just called for caution for parents to be very
Yeah,
careful
yes,
the
be
way they
very
handle their
careful, yeah.
kids. Okay, let's move on now, and we're moving on with the first paper on review this morning, which is the Daily Sun, and it has a banner headline here that says "Knox kudos as Buhari visits Taraba." Knox kudos as Buhari visits Taraba State with these riders down here. President also to Toa Benue, Zamfara, Yobe, Rivers over killings. And then another rider, PDP, Fayoshe, state governments, Yakasi, others react. Well, we're going to find out the details of their reaction. The Daily Sun newspaper. Up here, I have this one that said, Ararume, there's Governor Okorocha. Ararume, there's Governor Okorocha with a rider, Imo governor can't determine my destiny. Imo governor can't determine my destiny is the rider we have there.
Okay.
You want me to take the Imo governor one? Or
Just the number one.
okay, the
Yeah.
visit by President Muhammadu Buhari to Taraba State, the headline says Knox and kudos. I think it's expected. Of late, particularly if you've been following the newspapers and the social media, you will note that stakeholders and that the masses have been complaining that when these things happen, these killings that have been happening in the middle belt, that the president should show some concern. Even if he didn't go there, there should be statements made to show that the government is deeply touched. And if you take the first major one, the Benue, I'll call it a massacre of over 70, 80 people, there was very little presidential concern, at least overtly, for the whole world to know. And there was another one recently, and rather he went for a wedding. Okay, so that's why you have the knocks. But on the positive side, I want to believe that there is a change in the way the presidency looks at things. And I pray that we'll begin and continue to have more of such concerns. But most importantly, I think that it's high time that government takes serious measures to stop these killings.
I was actually going
beyond concern
Yes.
being shown.
I was actually going to come to that because he was reacting and saying that, well, I visited Taraba because there were more killings in Taraba than Benue and Nasarawa put together. And we start asking questions. Are we celebrating killing of human beings in this nation?
Yeah.
Okay, before that, the phone lines are already on the screen there. If you want to make contributions or ask questions to these headlines we are discussing here, you are free to do that. The lines are on there, so we'll do.
Daily Independent. The first story says Nigeria's 2019 election are major priority. That's coming from the U.S. With riders, Buhari's visit to troubled states, re-election gimmicks, says Fayoshe. So let's take that before we move on to other ones.
Yeah, Nigeria's 2019 election normally should be the concern of not only Nigerians, but all those who are interested in humanity generally, not just in Nigeria or Africa, in humanity generally, because this is where you have the largest population in Africa. And this country, the truth must be told, has been volatile for quite some time, and this volatility has to do with elections and governance. So any right-thinking leadership, not to talk about the U.S. leadership, should be concerned about where you have the largest population of black people and where you have so much potentials as we have in Nigeria, and where you also have this challenge and suspicion that this democracy could fail anytime. And add to that some of the things that have been happening in the last 2 years, particularly the killings, the herdsman issue that we just finished talking about. So it's important that U.S. should regard the Nigerian elections as general elections of 2019 as a major milestone, which all lovers of humanity should make sure that comes up successfully and peacefully. And if you look at some of the developments that have been happening in the last 2 weeks, if you take the Southeast, perhaps this might interest the callers, for instance. Ndibo are saying that you need to have a restructuring. You need to restructure Nigeria before the 2019 elections. Not many people are taking note of this. But as time goes on, that call is going to be stronger and stronger and stronger. So issues like that need to be addressed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Issues like that need to be addressed. Let's go to the other one that's there.
Okay, not actually reacted to Fayoshe's comment.
Judge, we'll go to Judge because there's something that's there.
All right, let's go down a bit. To help salvage Liberia's economy, George Weah begs Buhari ask for 6,000 teachers from Nigeria.
Help salvage Liberia's economy, George Weah begs Buhari asks for 6,000 teachers from Nigeria. Is it not a plus to Nigeria?
It is a plus. It is a plus to Nigeria. It's something that should make the average Nigerian happy. But you see, there is an Igbo saying that says, Odokwelezi muna yanaria.
Okay.
You fix things that are happening outside your home, and your home is in shambles. We tend to play these games most of the time. Big Brother. And we just finished talking about kudos and knocks for Buhari about what is happening in the Middle Belt. We're keeping peace. We've been keeping peace in Africa, or so we put it, for over 30 years, and we don't have peace here. That's on the negative side. On the positive side, and also for somebody who is a lover of sports, George Weah, rising from football, had several contacts with Nigeria in his days, and Nigeria helped him midwifing the present democracy in Liberia. So it's expected that George Weah should look up to Nigeria as a big brother.
All right, let's take this call.
Okay, let's take this call.
I actually thought he could be asking for footballers and not teachers.
Okay. You say, but asking for teachers is necessary.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, please, you be Okoro from Federal Road Safety Corps.
Sorry?
Okoro
Okoro,
Traffic
you want to give us road safety tips? Yes.
Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Traffic report from Okoro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 30 seconds, please.
Yes, all right. I am calling from Federal Road Safety Corps office right now. I can report that having gone around Oka this morning, I can report that Oka roads are still this morning. That is Anambra bypass.
Okay. Okay, Okoro, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go ahead. We have the Punch newspaper there. The Punch newspaper have this banner headlines. More deaths in Taraba crisis than Benue, Zamfara. Buhari, with the rider there, President's visit to Taraba and afterthought, Fayoshe is saying. Father, son arrested for selling drugs to pupils. We have another one down there. Nigeria's 2019 election priority, U.S. says that. EFCC rearranges Alio Akala, 2 others for alleged 1-1 to trial fraud. So react to the first one, more deaths in Taraba crisis than Benue. Yes.
I think we've dealt with Taraba. When I would rather look at the very small caption about father and son arrested for selling drugs to people.
Why don't you react to the more deaths Taraba crisis than Benue, and then Fayoshe saying we are visits to Taraba
quickly. Let's take that quickly. Yes. I start from the last date. Fayoshe is expected to say what he said. He's taking an oppositionary side against whatever Buhari does. It's going to be difficult for Fayose to say wonderful. Okay? As the argument as to whether there were more people, anywhere there are such killings, the government, both at the state level and at the federal level, should show concern. Where it is not possible for the president to make a visit, some very high person, either the vice president or the senate president, should go carry the banner of the government to the place and say, hey, we're concerned. But most importantly, and this is what we said when we first touched on this point, is that we should stem these killings. Never again. There shouldn't be more killings like this for nothing.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We now go to the next paper now. We have the Daily Times. IJ?
Okay. And the banner headline in Daily Times says, Nigeria's 2019 polls remain a priority. U.S. declares. And I think we've seen that in other papers. And let's quickly look at other stories here. 7 days after the independent Peru chief still in DSS custody.
Obasanjo at 80, they said that.
Okay, Obasanjo at 80, my major regrets in life. Well, people have regrets. Obasanjo is supposed to have his too, just as other human beings. But what is U.S. talking about here?
Let's look at Obasanjo, the major regrets, said at 80. My major regrets in life. What do you say that?
Obasanjo should indeed have too many regrets. Because, first and foremost, let me say that I love Obasanjo as a person. He's my hero. When he came out of prison in 1998-99, I actually wrote him a letter asking him not to run. Because there's this Italian saying that says, never grow old where you were once young. Obasanjo is what you would call in Igbo language, Melo. God blessed him and has continued to bless him. And that's why he was my hero. And I said, hey, why should he go and disgrace himself after having risen to that level? And then he went to run for the presidency.
Okay, the time is no more, friend, here.
Yes.
Let's just take one from the Guardian newspaper.
Yes.
Yeah, Guardian newspaper says there, Buhari bows to pressure to visit 5 troubled states. Okay, we've done that, and let's take another one. AG's 24 billion monthly oil subsidy, fictitious, PDP alleges. So what do you think?
Yeah, of course, PDP has the right to, it's natural that they should say what they should, they've said, because one of the campaign promises of the APC and the Buhari government before they came in was that if they come, they will scrap fuel subsidy. And for going to more than 2 years now, they've been telling us there is no fuel subsidy, whereas we know there is fuel subsidy. So whatever figure they come out with is likely to be disputed. And that's precisely what PDP is doing.
All right.
And then said NNPC targets capital flight reduction, yes. Okay.
NNPC target, I doubt whether the Nigerian public will believe it. NNPC needs to be transparent.
NNPC needs to be transparent.
Well,
let's have it there. Time is no more our friend here. So I want to thank you so much for really joining us on this newspaper review.
Thank you.
Mr. Mike Meze.
Thank you.
So good to have you. Hopefully, we're going to invite you for another time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for really coming on this particular part of the program. We want you to join us on the other side of 8 in our discussion segment. Stay.
I can vamos now.